Welcome in to the next latest week 3 episode of the NFL podcast on the Betting Pitch Podcast Network. I'm your host, real underscore G Warner, joined by A underscore Schnicker. Unfortunately, one of us got guillotined this week, and I didn't think I was going to bring that up, but I did now. If you want to check out the Instagram reel at the real underscore G Warner, not putting those on other platforms, unfortunately. The copyright of the music doesn't really work on those other places, but it's also the same place where you can check out our best bets. Unfortunately, I'm 0-2, so Schnicker's ahead of me there. He is 1-1. Unfortunately, the Dolphins decided to return a punt for a touchdown. Then the next play conceded a kickoff return touchdown.
Yeah.
And I have now officially gotten the New England Patriots wrong on 2 different games so far, and there are 2 that they played this season. My best bet was at Pittsburgh Steelers. Someone should tell their kickoff returners the rules. That would be really helpful. Didn't recover a kickoff. I swear I was watching the game behind my back, saw the Seahawks went up 3 points, then turned around and saw they were up 10 in seconds. And I was like, what the hell just happened? And then I figured
Yeah.
it out later. Andrew Schwarzenegger, how was week 2 of the NFL for you?
Uh, I feel like the seesaw effect that we usually go for, kind of a mixed bag with some of those picks. Um, the Seahawks were, I think the Seahawks and Dolphins were, I should say the Steelers and Dolphins were pretty popular picks.
I mean, we definitely
And
won the line movement. You had
we
the
definitely
Dolphins
did.
-1 that climbed to 2.5. I had the
Yeah.
Steelers at 3. They climbed to 3.5 at the very least.
Yeah. And just giving a little peek here, we're making these episodes on Tuesday nights, and a lot can change in the time between Tuesday evening and the game on Sunday. And I started getting this feeling right before kickoff with the Dolphins, like, oh, this is becoming quite the trendy pick, and maybe the Dolphins are just not where they normally are, and we're just giving them so much credit. Yeah, Tua is still struggling, and to be fair, like Devon Achan stepped out of bounds on that long run, or was it a pass that would have been a touchdown? There's the
Yep. Yep.
NFL is littered with things like that. But yeah, I think we're going to be able to turn it around here. I feel good about a couple of these matchups.
Yeah, well, and worst case scenario, just listen to us during the playoffs because that's when we win all of our bets. None of them lose ever, ever, ever. But we're
True.
gonna go
Just 16
through,
weeks. Don't worry.
yeah, we're gonna go through the standalone games. We're gonna do a little blind pick off. So worried that was gonna turn sexual, but I don't think it did. To figure out which other games we're gonna discuss. So we'll start with Thursday Night Football. One of the dandies, and it allows me to ask the question I was ready to ask, but I was like, I might as well wait for this game. Miami Dolphins are visiting the Buffalo Bills. Currently, Dolphins 11.5 point underdogs. Total is 49.5 in this one. No one believes in us, Miami Dolphins, except for Andrew Snicker and his best bet last week. My best on bet on, or not my worst bet, excuse me, on Sunday. Um, what do we do? I mean, there's got to be some
Yeah.
value on the Dolphins here. It was as high as 13. Uh, I saw a 10 that climbed all the way to 13, and we're back down to 11 and a half.
Yeah. This is going to be, especially a big talking point is going to be just Buffalo's dominance over the Dolphins in terms of win-loss record. I think they've won
Because they didn't
13 out of the
cover
last
in
14.
Orchard Park last year, if I remember correctly, because I definitely had the
Yeah.
Bills in that game. I remember watching it, and I think there was like a 60-yard field goal to win at the buzzer, and it was not a
Um,
-7 type of kick.
yes, I think you're right. But so Buffalo, has looked great. They've looked way better than I thought. I was worried about their defense coming into the season, and they looked pretty good last week. Granted, it was the Jets. So for this one,
Hold
these
on,
two
before
teams
we
are
get started, great.
what?
I feel like week 1
Oh, you're talking
was
about
a
the defense?
miraculous win. I just I wonder how much you can take from such a big deficit. And a lot of people said, "Oh, the Ravens lost it rather than the Bills won it," or vice versa, type all those sort of
Sure.
things. And that's the narrative that's out there. And it doesn't probably matter to an 11.5 point spread and whether you bet it or not. I
Right.
just wonder if there's maybe a little bit more to the Bills that we haven't seen yet that makes them dominant, that should make them deserve this price.
It's a huge number because there's so much. It's so different to win the game and know how to beat a team versus winning by by 12.
And in division. Yep, definitely.
In the division. These teams know each other so well. It's just you have to have some guts to be able to put some hard-earned money down on the Dolphins in this case. I guess after we talked about how bad it seemed or how poor it was, there were some decent spots. I thought that the playmaker Tyreek Hill, had an explosive play. I thought that the playmakers were there. It's just like I don't know what Mike McDaniel's doing. I'm a little worried about the guy. Like I don't know what what I mean. Like
I mean, his interviews, if they were possible to get weirder, they've gotten weirder.
They've gotten weirder. And so I think all of this is laning up into it's just going to be one way action. It's just are you trying to prove a point or make a stand in this situation, or are you living to fight another day against the the two or three best teams in the league versus a team that's playing like bottom 5 or 6? I'm just not compelled to be like, hey, this is my spot to
So I watched the Dolphins Pats on my phone almost for the entire game. And I felt like, oh my God, it's the worst bet I've ever made. Then, of course, you come around to, oh, the Dolphins have the lead and this looks okay. And then they return the punt for a touchdown. I'm like, oh man, that's probably the death knell right there. And somehow the Dolphins are going to survive this one. Not playing great. Tua's looked okay. And then they needed to come back, and he was making some, or at least from what I watched in the day, I could be conflating when it happened. But it seemed like there was a lot of missed throws that Tua used to always make. And it's the same thing where if the quick read is not there, there's no backup plan. Um, I don't know necessarily this is going to be one of our favorite bets on our card this weekend. It probably won't be, but if you're in a pick every game pool against the
yeah.
spread, which one are you taking?
Yeah, if I'm like, hey, if we're playing that kind of game, yeah, I'm gonna take the Dolphins.
I think there's value on the Dolphins, bigger price than I made it, bigger than it was last week.
Yeah,
But that's probably more than needs to be said about this game because I just don't. I mean, I think everyone will watch it probably across this country, to say the least,
of
but
course.
and probably plenty of others. And we'll see how that all ends up going. But I'm not calling an upset by any means. But I don't think that I'm dead on Miami, but or like I'm out of it based on this price. But it's going to be hard for me to want to back them just because
Yeah.
they've looked pretty bad, unfortunately. And they were already in a situation where they're really bad away from home. And now, if they can't win home games, then I don't know where they can win. We'll move to the Sunday night football game, which is another doozy. And then we'll go to Monday night and we'll circle around and do 3 Sunday games that are, I hope, of much more interest. The Chiefs, 6-point favorites at the New York Giants. Totals 45 in this one. Are we going to see both teams remain winless? Are we going to see both teams remain winless?
So are you calling for a tie?
Yes, let's go, baby. I mean, we were pretty close on Sunday as the entire bar I was in was going nuts for the Cowboys comeback. As a Survivor player, let's just say I've cheated death and I have won, and now I have no idea what to do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good that one team is going to have a win. And by the end of Sunday night between these two, like, because I'm answering your question with that, but yeah, what a mess that was with the Cowboys game. Anyways, so the Chiefs, they play the Eagles. They played them pretty well. Obviously, like it was the standalone spot. There were 3 games in the afternoon window, so everyone's watching the Chiefs and Eagles play. And the mojo's starting to change. I feel like where the Eagles just they have that ziggy over the Chiefs. Now Mahomes has lost 3 straight for the first time since he was a Texas Tech quarterback.
He had a lot of 3-game losing streaks there, if I remember correctly.
He had a few. Yeah, he had a few. Although he played pretty well against Texas. I think 2 or 3 times.
Well, the time his head wasn't taken off by.
That's true. Was that Quandre Diggs?
He talks so weird. Yeah, by Quandre. Q hit him into next year.
Yeah, you're decade. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean,
now he talks like Kermit. Sorry, keep going.
This is another one of the like standalone spots where you were just going to watch this number climb and climb and climb. I don't think anybody's buying what the Giants did against the Cowboys because We just know the Cowboys don't have any defense,
Well,
and
so let me give you initial number. I was expecting 7.5. I saw 6. It dropped to
sure,
5.5. We've come back to 6. So it seems like it's been in that range. And
yeah,
doesn't that feel like a little respect for the Giants?
yeah. Well, so the Chiefs are what 0-2 right now.
Yep.
So you're flipping that. That's
0-3 if you count the Super Bowl. Yes, good point.
you're right. What? So like that's like 11 at Arrowhead, maybe 12 because Arrowhead's probably the best
Well,
home field
if you're
advantage.
giving home field advantage to the New York Giants, I got some beachfront property
Uh,
to sell you in Nebraska.
you're
Also,
probably giving a little bit, but yes,
yeah,
you're right.
yes, yeah.
Point taken.
A point, sure. Give him a point. So
So okay,
10. So 10,
11.
10, 11.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. I'd probably still take the Chiefs,
I mean,
but I get like I hate these standalone spots with such terrible game.
how did this get chosen?
That's what I don't. I
What?
mean, it's got to be because it's the New York TV market. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way that you're doing this. Get it in early. Get the Giants in early because by week 9 they're not going to be worth
The New
anything.
York market hates the Giants. It's been this way for a decade.
Well,
What?
but like they don't like the Jets either. So I think you have more Giants fans than Jets fans in this situation. By the way, I'm rewatching the Jags Bengals game. My gosh.
That one,
Well, anyway.
that one was not on any screen I could see. I would love to know.
Ugh.
'Cause all I know is it seemed like the Jags were ahead the whole game and
It's
still
just two quarterbacks just handing the defense the ball in the
lost.
most terrible intercept.
Mm,
Okay.
love it.
I don't really. The Chiefs still have a pretty good defense. I still believe in that defense. Mahomes is clearly just going to use his legs when he has to, which in the previous years he's been saving his ground game until later in the season. But to me, that like says the most about desperation and the most about like how he feels about the weapons surrounding him is that we're in week 2 and he's already the leading rusher for the Chiefs and has to be. So that's probably not great long term if you're like a fantasy player with Mahomes because he can't sustain that for a full year. But I also think it's like reading between the lines of um, that clearly he doesn't have a lot of trust in the pieces around him for good reason. But like that offense is still just not going to be able to produce rather unless he is going to create with his legs.
So, I completely agree with all you said. I mean, it's like we've been doing this podcast for a few years or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, and the free four t-shirts before the game, brilliant, brilliant move, Travis
Rough.
Kelce and
A
such.
little rough.
I know apparently he was the English teacher and she was the gym teacher or something like that in their Instagram post. But I think just in reference to what we saw last weekend and what I was literally at one point the every TV in the bar was of course on the Cowboys and the Giants, and I was like, would I get booed out of this place for asking them to change one of these
Yeah,
TVs?
one of them,
Just one on
just one
anything
game.
else, please. I got a lot of money on the Colts. What are we doing here? Um, but uh, I don't know who's playing the Giants at 6 point underdog here. I don't know.
What do you think on Sunday evening? Like
Oh, it might be
6 o'clock. What it's
nine,
six
nine,
fifteen. What is it going to be?
nine,
9?
nine.
Yeah, because I'm actually like this is teaser protection type stuff.
I mean, I
Um,
don't know who, like, I think 1 point is generous to give the Giants. Like, there's going to be so many Swifties in that crowd just hoping that she might have touched down in New York and decided to come by for a quarter and be in some box. You can't even see her. Who knows? That's probably unrealistic. But, like, I I don't know who's taking the Giants. I don't think anyone's taking the Giants Sunday night unless you really think that the Chiefs are done. And I think they were competitive enough against the Eagles, so I thought they were behind the whole game. And I don't know that I ever really had to fear that the Eagles were going to lose. Um,
sure.
I Yeah, horrible Sunday night football game. We'll move to Monday, which is actually ESPN finally got a good game. The Lions
They got
five
one.
point underdogs at Baltimore. Totals 51 and a half. And we just saw the Lions bounce back from doing nothing at Green Bay to blasting a bad Chicago Bears team. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. It's only been 2 weeks, but And then the Ravens, they scored 1,000,000 points against the Browns despite not using Derrick Henry. Sad for a lot of us. I went 0-3 in my fantasy leagues last week. Thank you a lot to Derrick Henry. But
I think I did too, actually.
yeah,
Yep.
great week one. And there's nothing like a great week one to humble you in week two. Um, do the Lions feel like a big underdog here at five
At
points?
5. Are you? Did you come away from the Bears win and just say, "Up, everything's fixed. Lions are going to be great again"?
I did not. I came to the solutions, the whatever that unfortunately there is a Jared Goff in one place, there's a Jared Goff in another. I've actually, I think, been probably more interested in backing him away from home than seemingly
Yeah,
anyone else has.
yeah,
Um, and I don't think the weather's gonna be horrible in Baltimore by any means, but this is quite an upgrade in talent. You could say that for the Ravens too, but I don't know that any team starting Caleb Williams, I can take a lot from a huge favorite against them winning a dominant game.
yeah. And this was the spot. This was like the revenge, whatever you want to call it. Like everyone, I will say Dan Campbell is like the master motivator. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of his whole shtick. And that's not the only thing. I'm not trying to just take away from what they've accomplished. They still have a pretty talented roster. I just went into this season feeling like they're going to have some regression. They're going to step back a little bit, and like I don't know if 2 weeks into it makes me feel any better. Yes, Green Bay's looked great, so can't take much away from them on that. Um, but like the Ravens are going to be right up there. It's going to be on the road. It's in Baltimore, correct?
Yep.
Outside, outdoors. That's going to be the knock again. Um, and in these cases, like too often, I have found myself taking the dog in this, saying, "Oh, look at these points." And then I'm sitting. It's on the road, and it's a 2-score game, and I'm desperate to see. I'm chasing in the fourth quarter, and I don't really want to be in that spot again. I still don't. I think that the Ravens are the best team in the league, or as of right now. And I know we watched them fumble everything away 2 weeks ago, but like I still think they're that. And I don't know. Do you have a strong opinion on this?
So Lions I saw as high as 6 have come down to 5. That
Yeah,
makes me think we're not seeing a +7 in this game. So we might get a better price if you're looking at backing the Lions. I would expect the money to come in on the Ravens even after the Lions, which I still think they have a lot of luster from previous seasons. But I think we need to see some things from the Lions against good teams without Ben Johnson calling plays, and maybe that happens. Maybe it just takes me not playing against Amon-Ra St. Brown 3 times in fantasy leagues of the 3 I play in. Because I didn't know that was possible, but I was like, damn, 1% to win, 1% to win, and 20% to win. How does that possible on Sunday Night Football?
impressive.
But that's why we do it. So we're gonna move to Sunday,
Yeah,
and you get to choose since
me go
I'm
first.
just a great host. So you get to
Wow.
choose which game do you want to discuss.
I think that there's one pretty obvious one uh, to start with, and I think that's the Rams staying on the eastern side of the country and visiting Philadelphia, a rematch of the NFC Championship game.
Okay, so Los Angeles Rams +3 right now at Philadelphia. Totals 44.5 in this one. So the Rams, they it's as high as 4.5 even actually. Then after the
Yeah,
games played this weekend, I saw as high as 4, now down to 3. I'm a little confused about why so many people respect the Rams. I know they have a great coach, one of the best in the league,
yeah,
but we've got injury questions about Stafford coming into the year. He's been healthy so far, but it's one really large Philadelphia defensive lineman away. I guess you could say that about a lot
sure.
of teams, but I still haven't seen anyone stop a tush push. Saquon's still going to seemingly find the end zone every start or every game he plays. I'm very confused why the Rams in an early start. Yes, if they stay out east, that helps. I don't know that 2-score win against the Tennessee Titans is enough to make me believe that this number is going to be anything but higher before kickoff on Sunday.
Yeah,
And also makes me surprised, like, why am I not locking this in at -3 and saying, "Go ahead, Rams, go beat me in Philadelphia," against that type of crowd after the Phillies just clinched the East and everything's good in the city of brotherly love?
So, um, I guess it depends on your perspective of the Eagles and where you think they're going to go. Um, I'm like, I think their offense has not really found. Obviously, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, like the receivers aren't really doing much, and I don't think Jalen Hurts is as comfortable as he needs to be with the new offensive coordinator. Um, like the AJ Brown stuff, it feels very obvious. Like after week one, where he didn't get anything, they were like, "Oh, well, everyone was playing me zone, and so I wasn't able to get open." It was just kind of like, okay, well, if it's that easy, then I'm assuming other defenses are just going to, keep doing that, right? Like I know that's way more complex than that, but like, you know, the whole thing about Chris Jones calling out Jalen Hurts, being like, "You didn't even have 100 yards," that's real. Um, so don't get me wrong. I think the Eagles are going to be still very, very good. I just not really seeing, you know, this early in the year. There could be a little bit of a hangover. Could be just trying to get acclimated to a new offense. And the secondary has great pieces. I'm just like not sure if it's also good enough to stop down or to stop the Rams playmakers, which are also very, very good.
Hmm.
So I think like if I had to pick tonight, I would take the Rams plus 3.5.
Okay. Very different price than +3, certainly. And
Of
I
course.
think
Yeah. So is that where we're at right now? We're at 3.
I see 3 -123 on the Bet
Uh
Online right
yeah, okay.
now. Probably 3.5s all over the place. So shop around, best place if you need some referrals, including to
Yep.
locals. We have those if you'd like. Feel free to reach out on social media at @A_Schnicker if he hasn't deleted it, but he might have. So you can come to me at @TheReal_G Warner. For my biggest interest, and I unfortunately, sorry for anyone who's been listening to this podcast that needs to hear this, but I need to hear it. Tell me what the heck's going to happen. The Steelers -1.5 at New England. Total is 44.5. Because believe it or not, I like someone in this game.
You do like well, are you gonna go to Vrabel three weeks in a row?
Well,
Is
I
that
was
what's gonna
against
happen
him
here?
week 2. So
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm literally like the worst stock. It's not Stockholm syndrome when you get kidnapped, but I do feel like Mike Vrabel, who I have met before and have a photo with, he's ruined my life so
Yes.
far this season. So thanks, Mike.
Okay. So I I think the Steelers unfortunate, the Caleb Johnson, as we talked about at the start of this episode, um the Caleb Johnson not knowing the rules or whatever happened, that really flipped the game. I didn't, I didn't leave that game being like, Steelers are who we thought they were kind of deal. Like, there was a drop. So I would probably still lean towards the Steelers in this situation, even though like I wouldn't play it. You know what I mean? Like this is just again like if we're talking about right now on a Tuesday, um, if I'm in a pick 'em pool type deal, I'm going to take the Steelers. I don't know. What do you think?
So Steelers were on a different television, a little bit out of eyesight in week 1. And I was some guy, my friend Kevin, who I was watching with, he was like, "Why don't we have the Steelers and the Jets on?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then he's like, "Look at the score." And it was like 32-29 or something like that. And I was like, what? That can't be the right score. What world are we in? Like
This
those
is
teams
last
haven't
week.
scored like that forever. And then last week, I thought the Steelers, when I was hoping for my best bet record to finally find a number in the W column, they were trailing for a lot of that game. And then the Caleb Johnson issue certainly was a problem and seemed to ruin everything. But seems like the Steelers, I mean, we've been questioning Mike Tomlin for a little while now. And what used to be a great defense, he's a defensive mind. They've been conceding a
Yeah.
lot of points. What I was hoping for you to tell me is whether you believe the New England Patriots were able to score those same amount of points, because the Pats have played a Raiders team that looked pretty bad on Monday night in a home game
Mm-hmm.
against the Chargers, though the Chargers may be good. And then the Pats played a Miami team that's horrible away from home and didn't look great in their own building. So is it that the Pats are just a bad team and they played a team worse than them?
Right.
Or are they because I mean they didn't win a lot of games last year, but I think there's a lot of belief in the Patriots and where they could be based on what they spent. Drake May another year under his belt, or at least
Yeah,
getting more experienced. Plus the forever questioning of Aaron Rodgers, just both of whether he's a decent human. That seems pretty obvious, but the play that he hasn't shown for 2 full seasons now. So my question, I guess, to you is we know the Steelers, they don't play very good defense, or at least they're not the defense they used to be. But are they being priced like they still defend? Because that to me
yeah,
is a great thing to potentially find some value against, especially with a home
yeah.
underdog, as that's basically my pet at this point.
I like it. Yeah, that's a really fair point. Yes, I like some of the players on the defensive line. They are aging and and so yeah, I think you probably are still getting the assumption. But I also don't think like I think Rogers still has a little bit of juice left.
He's
And
certainly motivated after missing a season, horrible year that maybe he wasn't really ready for. I feel like I'm being a
right,
little
like
bit of
coming
an
off the
apologist
Achilles
now.
thing.
Despite all the immunizing he was doing for his Achilles,
Yeah,
apparently he used modern medicine in that case. But
sure.
at least when they sutured his Achilles back together. But I just wonder. Okay, I'll last question I'll ask in this game. We currently have the Steelers -1.5 on the road. Who is the favorite at kickoff?
Steelers minus 1.5 on the road. Gosh, that's tough. Um, where do I think this is going to go? This is I'm actually really
My answer, I think the Steelers are a favor right now, so it's hard to say that they're going to move to an underdog. Though certainly the numbers between 3 and 3 are very easy to move through if any
yeah,
sort of money shows up. I
right.
just wonder, I feel like there's enough question about or enough questions plural about the New England Patriots in the NFL market that there are plenty of people that are still believing and betting the Steelers from years ago, which I think is a really great spot to make money. And that's why I like the Patriots +1.5 at home in this game. I'm not
Okay.
making an official pick selection, all those sort of things just yet. And I will certainly wait to see if I can get some more. I don't think we'll get to 3, but I do think that there's probably some value in a New England Patriots team, but clearly I've not done a very good job losing both of their games on either side of them so far this season.
Third time's a charm. So let's just go for it. Why not?
Yeah. So is the 17th. Okay, tell me what your last of our 6 pack. I think we're doing
Okay.
okay on time, but I'm sure we're gonna get told soon we're not.
So that means do we still have more than 10 minutes?
I mean, I haven't seen the
Oh
number
my
yet, so it's
goodness.
coming soon, I think.
I was
But
about to say it's got to be.
I
Um,
think having 2 dog babies as the Thursday night and Sunday night games helps. So go with one,
yeah, that
and
was
then I'll
tough.
see if we can get a seventh in here.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the Cowboys and Bears because I mean we both have probably watched more Cowboys. We are very familiar with that, and I think it's just interesting um, because they're. I don't think the Cowboys can defend. I think everyone knows the Cowboys can't defend. Ben Johnson, obviously, great offensive mind, different sort of offense compared to like Russell Wilson, just chuck and duck type deals, you know. Um, so I don't know if it's more misdirection, more, but I still think like everyone in the world is going to be looking at the total in this game and looking at 50 and saying, "Oh, easy, let's go over with that."
Ooh, I mean that is interesting. So 50 on the total. Pick them right now with more juice than the Cowboys. I'll start with the side. I don't know how you back the Cowboys in any type of situation right now.
Yeah,
The defensive mistakes, you said they can't defend, but just like brain dead, like I've never played defensive back. I'm not a defensive coordinator. All those sort of things. Yes, sure, get that out of the way. But what
right.
they're doing and what they were giving up, conceding, all these sort of things, there's the 10 minutes. I just don't I have no idea how that team could be any sort of favorite anywhere in any stadium based on what I watched last weekend. Um, with that said, the Chicago Bears, I don't know how you back them. They don't have a competent quarterback, and that's the only position that matters in this league. You can argue all
That's
these other things do, but certainly the most important one. And if you don't have it, you have nothing. I thought Ben Johnson, who made Jared Goff look like a prom queen and got him $100 million or something like that. I thought that that would be, oh, Caleb Williams, much better athlete, much more capable, all these sort of things. But he has not fit in the system so far. They gotten blown out, had a pretty big lead in the opener. They got blown out week two. Week one had a pretty big lead in the opener and coughed that up. I don't know. I mean, I'm not backing the Cowboys here. I will gun to my head, make a play. I'm anything like that. I'm taking the Bears. Um, but that's a lot based on how poor the Cows have been and where this game is being
Yeah.
played. If it was being played on Mars, I don't know if I'd be able to back the Bears. Now, to your point on the total, and then I'll let you respond to all of it. Um, Russell Wilson is not a capable quarterback. I can't tell you how much I bet the Steelers last year, and just was like, if there was, I think I'd rather them punt on first down than have him out there. Thought that was better, positive expected value for the Steelers defense, which now I'm also questioning too. Um, I think everyone sees the incredible shootout between two pretty quiet offenses in week one, to say the least. And I think people will play over here. It is hard to get to 50 points in the NFL, though.
Yeah.
Week one was all unders. Week two, I think, was all overs.
Yeah.
Um,
We had a
that's
flip.
yeah, and I think that's probably. We also have this new kickoff rule thing, which Caleb Williams should learn, or Caleb something. Caleb Johnson
Caleb
should learn.
Johnson.
Sorry, Caleb with a K. Caleb Williams might need to
Yes.
know it too, but it does seem like there's very limited poor field position in this sport.
Yeah. Yeah. It has changed. You're getting at least 5 to 10 extra yards. Okay. We've talked about Caleb Williams a couple times already this year about the assumption that he was just going to improve. Uh, you know, I think right before the first week where we were just like, what if he's just bad? Like, what if his mechanics don't get sorted out? And also, like, this is the brand new era, so it's unfair to say, oh, within 2 weeks and then a training camp, you're supposed to have like a full understanding of an offense. And there's been a lot of other things written about Caleb Williams and his preparation. Um, don't know how much of that is true, but I can say on the field, it looks like you know I'm worried that he's going to seriously injure some of his receivers. They're like just being hung out to dry. Hospital balls has been a really popular topic, I feel like, on social media and stuff.
Trending on Twitter, yep.
Yeah, like, and it's fair. It's like real. I feel like this year with quarterbacks, I've seen more of that kind of throw than in previous years, where it's like, dude, what are we doing here? Um, so yes, like I was talking about the total. I think I do think though 50 is still attainable for this one um if someone starts moving, like if the Bears or Cowboys get out early, I think the script has to change. Like, I think if this stays pretty neutral, and Javonte Williams is able to have a third straight decent running game, then yeah, maybe this is an under. Um, but yeah, I still like this over, even though at 50, the odds, the stats of a game going over 50 is like, I think what, 30% of the time, something that's numbered at 50 or above is like actually going over that total.
So it's the
Um,
second highest total on the board. Only highest
behind
is Monday
behind
Night
the
Football.
Ravens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's asking
Yeah.
a lot for some questionable quarterback play.
Yeah.
Um,
And you do need both teams to play that way. You can't have a blowout. I don't see Cowboys blowing anybody out though. Do you?
I don't know how the Cowboys score enough to blow teams out, if that makes sense. I don't know how
Okay.
I feel about the Bears defense right now to say that they're going to concede so many points that this is
Kalen
going to
Johnson,
be.
their best cornerback, is out for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and I feel like they were just getting healthier in the secondary, and apparently they've now gone the other direction. I just what I saw last weekend from the New York Giants, who Wan'Dale Robinson probably had more fantasy points than he has had in his career
Yeah,
on Sunday. Also faced
that's
him.
real.
Thank you. 2 out of 3 leagues that I
Wait, who
play.
was starting Wandale
I
Robinson?
so I'm in a 16 team league, and
Oh, okay. That
unfortunately,
explains it.
those big no names that throw up the guys that throw up 30 points. I mean, my head was rolling like I was guillotined by 1:30 p.m. on Sunday Central Time. It seemed at halftime, but um, anywho, we're kind of coming up towards the end, but I got one more game I want to talk
Okay.
about, and I feel like it's kind of a shit show, excuse my French, but the Minnesota Vikings are 3-point favorites. The Cincinnati Bengals totals 41 and a
Ugh.
half. We don't have Joe Burrow. I think we have McCarthy starting.
No, we don't. We
We
don't.
don't. We don't. So what do you do in a game where the quarterbacks are complete unknowns?
It's Carson Wentz
Oh,
against Jake Browning.
great. Thank you for that update.
So I probably would. Okay, so but the it's in Minnesota. That's what
Yep.
changes things.
So they're
Because
a 3-point
otherwise, if
favorite.
it's in
Yep.
Cincinnati, I'm taking Jake Browning. Like he is going to throw interceptions, but I've watched him um, fairly recently lead this offense, and plus he's got like Jamar Chase, Chase Brown. Like think about all the weapons he's got around him. I guess someone could make the same argument for the Vikings as well, but um, I I can't back Carson Wentz. Are you kidding me? Even at home, dude. I can't. There's no way.
I think Carson Wentz is less likely to turn the ball over, and the NFL is a
You
turnover sport.
I think I disagree. I don't I think like they're both gonna it's just like this Jags Bengals game I've been watching while we've been doing this. My gosh, 3 interceptions for Browning. Incredible.
So that does it for our week 3 episode. Some comedy hilarity at the end, if you will. Went through a 7 pack. You don't get that in every beer commercial, that's for sure. And we're gonna give out some best bets in a second. If you're not following the podcast, do so. Betting the Pitch on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. Comment on A_Snickers mustache, and certainly we'll figure out how to braid it for the next episode. If that's your request, 5-star reviews do matter to us. If you want to follow A_Snicker on Twitter, I don't think you deleted it yet. At the real_G Warner across any social media platform as well. YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, so hit subscribe on there, and you might be able to see our reel as soon as it's posted on Sunday instead of having to search for it. We do like likes on those things as well. At A_Snicker, I'm not making the reel right now, but I will before. I've done it pretty hungover on Sunday the last 2 weeks, so that's been a pretty good start for us. Where are you going with your best bet on this week 3 episode?
Okay. Like we said, we're recording this on Tuesday. This is a game we talked about, and a game I've already said I like this side, but I think we can wait and get a 3.5. So um as of right now on Tuesday, I say you could take a light bite on the Rams at +3, just to get something in there. But I also think that you might get 3.5 at some point. Yeah, I just think the Rams as an underdog role, that's where I like them. I like Sean McVay in an underdog spot. Um, I think the Eagles are still living off of the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts is not going to be able to keep this offense going against a Rams defense that's like pretty decent. And yeah, I like the Rams with
Three
a
and a
couple
half's
points.
currently out there right now, so we'll
Go
lock
get it.
you in at 3.5.
Okay.
Bovada, it's available. Even Ranger Blake uses Bovada, so I think it counts for
All
everyone.
right.
So +3.5 on the Los Angeles Rams for A_Schnicker. I'm really tempted to go to a game we also talked about that I can't seem to quit,
Just do
and
it. Let's just see what happens. Why not?
Mike, talking to you, Mike. I took a picture of you before the NFL draft in Nashville, whenever the heck year that was, maybe 2018. You owe me one here, bucko. We're going to the New England Patriots, 1.5-point underdogs to the Pittsburgh Steelers. God, I feel horrible, but third time's a charm, or the 17th time's a charm, because they're probably not making the playoffs based on what I've seen so far. And that'll do it for this episode of the NFL edition on Betting the Pitch. We will talk to you all very soon, and please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or hit a subscribe button, or just comment about A_Snickers mustache, and we'll make it a thing going forward.